Welcome back to Couch Talk, everybody. Today I'm here to review the movie Blackkklansman. This movie is directed by Spike Lee, and before I get into anything, I just want to say that this movie is phenomenal. It's not as good as Do the Right Thing. I think that's probably his best movie, but this is damn near close. Damn near, and I mean like by like a hair. This movie stars John David Washington, who is Denzel Washington's son, and let me add that his son does not need his name to carry weight behind his acting career. Like, this dude can act on his own. It is amazing that, the whole Washington family, they're just so gifted, and, his son is just such a good actor, and he really envelops this role. The only other thing I'm familiar with him in is Bowlers on HBO with The Rock, where he plays a football player, and I don't know why, but every time I see him, I just think of Odell Beckham Jr. But he's just such a good actor, and he really dove headfirst into this role and played the hell out of it. It also stars Adam Driver as his partner. Other big name actors, Alec Baldwin was in it for 5 minutes. Very small role, very powerful role though. Topher Grace plays leader of the KKK, as you see in the trailers, and Corey Hawkins is also in this, who also played Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton, and he tried to revive the 24 franchise on TV, but it failed after the first season, even though the show was really good. I don't know why it failed. I guess people just didn't want to see it without Jack Bauer. From start to finish, this movie was just fucking fantastic, and I really didn't know what to think about it, because it hits you with so much comedy. There's so much comedy, but it's not that forced comedy. It's very real. It's a very real, grounded, what would actually happen in this kind of situation type of comedy. It's dark comedy, and then it throws this crazy curveball at you, this thriller, because essentially the movie is Washington's character is the first black cop in this area, and he first goes there and they have him in the filing room, and, he believes that he could do more to better serve the community. So he begs to, go up the ranks and become an investigator, and by the grace of God, he gets the opportunity without spoiling how. And a little further into the movie, he sees an ad in the paper for, wanted members of the Ku Klux Klan, and he calls them and uses his white voice to get close to, the KKK and try and figure out if they're planning on doing anything to harm any other black people. Now, he gets really close to them over the phone. He sounds very convincing. He has that whole scene in the trailer where he just talks about he's, a true white American, but when they actually want to face-to-face meet, he can't because he's black, so he has his partner, played by Adam Driver, a.k.a. Kylo Ren, pretend to be him as well. So he has to learn how to mimic Washington's white voice, and then while Washington's talking to him on the phone and they're having discussions and telling stories, Adam Driver is there listening in on it, so when they meet face to face, he could tell the same stories. And the thrilling scenes are really all, it's kind of split in two. The comedy scenes come from Washington's character, and the thrilling scenes come from Adam Driver's character. The comedy scenes are, a lot of him just talking to them on the phone and just hearing him talk bad about himself, essentially. And then, a lot of the thrilling scenes are Adam Driver going to meet up with them and them kind of being suspicious, because sometimes he slips up here and there. There's a scene where, Washington character mentions that his dad is sick in Texas, and then, Adam Driver's character says it's in Florida or something like that, and they're like, wait, what are you talking about? You said Texas. And just scenes like that, and this one guy in particular is constantly on his back. But aside from the comedy and the thriller and the fact that the whole mission in itself was just such a triumph, this movie is extremely powerful, and it has a message to tell, and it fucking home runs it out of the park. It's really good. Not just Washington, but every single character in this movie really just knocked it out of the park. Topher Grace said he watched hundreds of documentaries and articles and all this other stuff about the person he was portraying and everything. And a side note, apparently he's actually getting death threats from the KKK because of his portrayal for the leader of the KKK in the movie. So I hope he manages a peaceful way out of that one. The movie isn't really violent. I thought with it being in the setting that it was, there would be a lot more violence to it, but they shy away from most of the violence, and it's kind of a lot more mellow. It's a lot more character driven. There's not any action set pieces or anything. It's just all very like character built and character driven. The soundtrack is great. I heard a couple songs in there that actually from Guardians of the Galaxy. I was in a packed theater. Everyone was loving it from start to finish. Corey Hawkins' character actually gives one of the speeches in the movie that is the best parts of the movie. He's playing like the leader of like black activist group, like the Panthers, I believe they're called. And he goes to this rally and just gives this very emotional, heartfelt speech about why, black people shouldn't be ashamed of being themselves. And it's really powerful, and it's good to see him getting more and more roles, because I think he's just like a really fantastic actor. And again, even his character, he's only in the movie for like a total of like 10 minutes, but he, like everybody else, just knocks it out of the park, and it really seems like everyone just wanted to be in this movie. I listened to a couple interviews with the actual person that this movie is based off of, and he was saying that they did spice up a couple things that didn't actually happen to like Hollywoodize it and make it more like cinema quality. But aside from that, like it's pretty much 90% spot on to what actually happened. And he said when he went into making this book, because this is based off a book, he had no intention of millions and billions of people reading it. He had no intention of it ever being, a movie. He just wrote it because he thought it was a very interesting story about something that never happened before, and it needed to be told for the people willing to listen to it. And I appreciate it, and I commend him for writing it, because I'm so happy I got to see something like this. Now, the movie ends on a high note. They successfully complete the mission. And, it has you feeling good, and you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, they did it, blah, blah, blah. And then out of nowhere, they show something that I'm not going to discuss here because it is a spoiler. But pretty much what it shows is that there is still racism in the world, and what they show is just so heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. And you go from like just being in this good mood from like how the whole movie turned out to just leaving the theater in like shock and awe. And it took me a couple days to really think, was that necessary to add in there, or could they have just left it alone and it still have been a good movie? And I think, yes, it is absolutely necessary that he threw it in there, because as much as, you enjoy 99% of the movie and you want to feel good, there is still a lot of racism today, and that is what he's trying to address. And, on one side of the spectrum, he's trying to address the fact that there are the people in the world that are trying to combat that and, put a stop to it. But the other side is trying to show, it's still happening, and it's still a large group of people. Unfortunately, you'd think the day and age we live in that racism would be at an end, and it's sadly not. And it's something that I think more directors should address, because it's not just going to go away on its own. And I think it does make you leave the movie with this thought of how disgusting some of the world can be. And I almost appreciate the fact that he put it in there, because it doesn't let you turn a blind eye, and it needs to be discussed, because the more it gets discussed, the closer we get to some sort of solution or anything to really bring this subject back into the main public eye, because it doesn't deserve to go away. It deserves to be talked about, and there deserves to be some kind of resolution to all of the problems going on in the world. Anyway, like I said, this isn't his best movie, but it is definitely Oscar worthy. It is definitely his second best movie. I guarantee you're going to see it in the Oscars. I guarantee you're going to see at least one of the actors nominated, if not Washington himself, Adam Driver, for supporting character. If you haven't seen this movie, go out and see this. Bring all of your friends. It is a great time. It has a little bit of everything for everybody. It has a little bit of a romantic story in there somewhere for all you lovebirds. Anyway, if you like this video, like it. If you like my channel, subscribe. And as always, I'll catch you next time.